Liverpool have sold Jarrell Quansah to Bayer Leverkusen, and with Ibrahima Konaté entering the final year of his contract and looking more likely to leave than stay, Liverpool suddenly have a massive problem. They need a new centre-back this summer, and it can't be any centre-back either. They need someone who's going to be a very good third-choice centre-back now, and someone who could push to be a first-choice centre-back if Ibrahima Konaté decides to leave at the end of the year. And ideally, they'd want someone homegrown too, especially with Quansah leaving. Well, there is one player who ticks every single one of those boxes. He's homegrown, he's high quality, and he's a brilliant market opportunity. And that player is Marc Guehi from Crystal Palace. Now, let me tell you why he is such a perfect fit. Guehi is 24 years old, and that is the ideal age for a Liverpool signing. He's extremely versatile. He's able to play on the left side of defense and the right side of defense. He's predominantly right-footed, but he's also confident using his weaker foot. He's not just a solid player, he is a leader. He was Crystal Palace's captain and he's a full England international. And most importantly, he is available. Guehi has just 1 year left on his contract and he has already confirmed he won't be signing an extension. This gives Liverpool all the bargaining power that they need to complete this signing. Palace reportedly turned down up to 70 million last season from Newcastle for Guehi. But now, Liverpool could land him for around 40 to 45 million. And if that doesn't work, they can play the long game and sign him on a free in the next summer. So whether Konaté stays or goes, Marc Guehi is the obvious signing at the back. He can be third choice right now and he could become first choice within the next season if he ends up being good enough like Liverpool believe he can. And in this video, I am breaking down exactly why Liverpool are chasing him and looking at the following questions. What is an Arne Slot centre-back? What qualities does Guehi bring to the table and how does he actually fit into Arne Slot's system? Stick around because there are things about Marc Guehi that you probably haven't noticed, but once you do, you'll see why this move makes so much sense for Liverpool. First of all, if you watched Liverpool throughout the 2024 and 2025 season under Arne Slot, one thing becomes clear. Slot has a very specific profile when it comes to centre-backs. They need to be physically dominant, they need to be technically secure, and most importantly, they need to be tactically intelligent. Slot's football is proactive. His teams look to play a higher line. They look to control territory. But when you're playing that kind of football, your defence is often exposed, so they need to be making the right decisions at the right times. Sometimes they'll need to step forward aggressively to win the ball. Other times they'll need to drop off and delay. Knowing when to rush and when to jockey, that is what intelligence we're talking about. Something that both Ibrahima Konaté and Virgil van Dijk both thrive in. Now, one clear tactical pattern in Slot's system is that the fullbacks can be very high at times. That means that the centre-backs need to be very comfortable in defending the wide areas. They need to handle the isolation without panicking. And then there's the in-possession side of the game, and this is so crucial to Slot's style. He wants his build-up play to be from deep. He's not just trying to boot it long. So the centre-backs need to be calm under pressure. They need to be press resistant, and they need to be brave enough to play through the lines. Look at Virgil van Dijk last season. That was the most complete Virgil van Dijk I have ever seen, and that's because Arne Slot gave him a lot more pressure when it came to the in-possession build-up play from the back. He would open his body up and swing a pass straight into Gravenberch or straight into McAllister right through the lines, and that was so key for Liverpool's build-up play. Slot doesn't mind variation in the build-up. Sometimes you can go long if you need to, but his ideal centre-back needs to be able to carry the ball forward when there's space, needs to be able to switch the play when needed, and break the lines with purpose and not just pass for the sake of it. Defensively, Slot demands 1v1 dominance, and at their best, Liverpool showed this perfectly, especially at the start of the season. Van Dijk and Konaté were monsters. Fresh legs, full of confidence, they were winning their duels, they were shutting down players, and their box defending was elite. Slot wants centre-backs who are complete in this area, strong in the aerial battles, quick on the ground, and they switch on when the ball is inside the box. And there's one more quality that might go unnoticed, but it's worth mentioning: leadership. Slot likes his defenders to be vocal, to be organized. They need to be able to lead the line, make sure the offside traps are set, and that they set that defensive tone properly, not just follow it. Now, when you look at Van Dijk and when you look at Konaté, that is Slot's prototype. Van Dijk especially, he is generational, calm, dominant, progressive. Konaté has similar physical tools, but he's not quite as good on the ball. So with all of that in mind, how does Marc Guehi stack up against these profiles? What does he bring to Liverpool? And how well does he fit into Arne Slot's system? Let's break it down. down. So now that we've understood the type of centre-back Arne Slot wants, let's talk about why Marc Guehi fits that mould and why he would be a fantastic third choice who could later become a first choice if Ibrahima Konaté was to leave. It's not just about the quality, it's about stylistically, it's about tactical flexibility, how much he raises the floor and maybe even ceiling depending on how he fits into Liverpool's backline. First of all, his versatility. Guehi can comfortably play left centre-back and right centre-back, and he showed it at Crystal Palace. He's played left centre-back with Lacroix or Anderson being his right centre-back. But at England, he showed that he can play as a right centre-back where he's had Maguire or Stones as the left centre-back. That dual-footed quality gives Slot a massive tactical advantage. Let's take him as a left centre-back first. There's only one player in the Liverpool squad who can consistently progress the ball from that left centre-back position, and that's Virgil van Dijk. Guehi adds a second option. He's brilliant at creating angles to pass or carry the ball forward. That means even if Van Dijk is out of the squad or if he's injured, Liverpool's build-up play doesn't suffer because Guehi can actually do it. Now imagine Guehi playing as a right centre-back alongside Virgil van Dijk. You suddenly have two centre-backs who excel at bringing the ball out. Liverpool's build-up play would be absolutely elite, and that's the kind of dual build-up play that Arne Slot really wants from his defence. On top of that, Guehi is also extremely press resistant. Under pressure, he stays calm. He can drop a shoulder, he can make a short pass or carry the ball into the midfield, and honestly speaking, he is better than Ibrahima Konaté in this area. He has so many different ways to progress the ball, and that alone could increase the competition between Guehi and Ibrahima Konaté. But Guehi's value isn't just in possession. He's incredibly tactically adaptable, and this is why he can thrive under Arne Slot. If you need him to step up and be aggressive in his 1v1s, he can do so. But if you also need him to be able to read the play, intercept passes, and then get Liverpool moving forward quickly, he can do that. But if the game changes and Liverpool are having to defend a lot and they have to defend their box, they need to be able to sit deep and defend that box. Marc Guehi can do it. He's shown he can do it in many different phases of play, and that's why I'm so confident this can be an excellent signing for Liverpool. He's brilliant at defending crosses, he's very good in the air, and he stays sharp inside the box. This means he's capable of playing in a high line, he's capable of defending his own box, and he's also capable of defending in a mid-block, and that's what Arne Slot wants. And here's something that's often overlooked in our centre-backs: availability. Guehi played the majority of Palace's games last season. He's reliable, rarely injured, and he's not a player who loses focus or makes costly errors. Compare that to Konaté, who's had many injuries throughout his Liverpool career, even though the last season was definitely one of his best in terms of injuries. Guehi raises that defensive floor just by being consistently fit and being dependable, but he also gives you that tactical upside on both sides of the pitch. So let's take a step back. Virgil van Dijk is aging, Konaté's availability is inconsistent and he might be leaving, and with Quansah gone, a third centre-back who's comfortable on either side is absolutely crucial for Liverpool going into the new season. And Marc Guehi gives Liverpool a reliable, tactically intelligent, press-resistant defender who's sharp out of possession, composed in possession, and brings real leadership qualities too. So with all of that in mind, let's answer the big question. How exactly would Guehi fit into this Liverpool squad, and could he ever overtake Ibrahima Konaté if Konaté decided to stay? As I've explained earlier, Arne Slot wants Liverpool to dominate and control games. This means having defenders who are very comfortable in a high line, defending when aggression is needed, and having complete positional control across the pitch. Now, for his systems to really work, the centre-backs need to be excellent at build-up play in possession, rest defence in possession, and transition defending out of possession. Let's go through them and see how Marc Guehi fits in. In terms of the build-up play, this is where Guehi really shines. As we've already explained, he's extremely calm under pressure. He uses his body really well to disguise passes. His vertical passes into midfield are exactly what Arne Slot wants, sharp and accurate. But he's not just a passer, he's actually very good at dribbling with the ball into space. He has that dual threat. If he doesn't make the pass, he can carry the ball out, and that is the reason why Guehi can genuinely push for a starting spot, because Ibrahima Konaté is more comfortable carrying the ball out than he actually is passing the ball out, even though he's made his fair share of brilliant passes. Konaté is a physical monster out of possession, no doubt, but in possession there's definitely parts of his play that he can improve, and he has been improving. So if you could say it as overall, Ibrahima Konaté is probably neutral in possession. Marc Guehi is a net positive. He actively helps Liverpool control the game from the back, something Slot would want. Then we look at the rest defense in possession. This is the shape Liverpool hold when they're attacking. Be ready for a counter-attack if they lose the ball. Under Arne Slot, Liverpool improved a lot in this area. The fullbacks recover quickly, the double pivot offers support, and the centre-backs are still the last line, and often it is 2v2 at the back. That's where decision making becomes everything. And Guehi is actually very good at this. He doesn't dive in rashly, he steps out only when it's the right moment, and he's brilliant at intercepting danger before it becomes a problem. He still is able to maintain that defensive shape with his partner, whether that's Van Dijk or Konaté, and his interceptions would often spark a Liverpool counter in the other direction, which can be very important when you're trying to break down a very stubborn defense. And then you have transition defending, which is so important out of possession, especially with how much Liverpool attack. This is where Konaté is a different beast, maybe better than any other centre-back in the world not named Virgil van Dijk. He's quick, physically dominant, and a monster in open space. Guehi probably doesn't have that level physically, but what he lacks in raw pace, he definitely makes up with smart positioning and smart defending. He positions himself well, he doesn't give up his goal side, and even against elite dribblers he stays composed, jockeys, delays, and allows his teammates to come back. Even if the situation demands him to be aggressive, he allows his teammates to really come back and support the defense. In Slot's system, where defenders are often pulled wide and must hold a high line and definitely get into very exposed situations, Guehi's composure, his decision making, and his low error profile become incredibly valuable. He doesn't just fit the system, he makes sure the floor of the defense doesn't drop even when Virgil van Dijk or Ibrahima Konaté are out. And you could say that when Jarrell Quansah came into the team sometimes, the floor of Liverpool's defense definitely dropped. In terms of tactical flexibility, that is a massive strength of Guehi's. He can play as the right centre-back like we explained. He can play as the left centre-back. He's even played as a 3 at Crystal Palace, and I think he could even do a job as an emergency DM because he's that good with the ball at his feet. And that level of flexibility in general over a season which has 50 plus games can be so important. So in the short term, Guehi becomes the perfect third choice centre-back. And let's be clear, he's still getting 30-35 games in a season. With cup competitions, Champions Leagues, injuries, rotations, he's still playing at the highest level, and that means he can definitely get into the 2026 World Cup squad, which is definitely the fear that Guehi has joining Liverpool. And looking into the future in the long term, if Konaté does decide to leave, Guehi is ready. He's more than reliable physically, he's excellent out of possession, and he's more aligned with Slot's vision in possession than Ibrahima Konaté himself. So I feel like Guehi would get that one season of transition, and then you'll get to see whether he can become first choice, and if he can't, then Liverpool would just sign a first choice centre-back. So while the headlines might say that Guehi is a perfect backup, the reality is he is someone who's going to push to start. A smart, low risk, high upside signing. And for a team that's evolving under Slot, that's exactly what Liverpool need. Now, of course, there's been a lot of praise in this video about Marc Guehi. I'm making him sound like the perfect centre-back, but there are valid concerns. And the most obvious one is experience. Guehi has never played in the Champions League, and that is what matters. High intensity, high pressure games where there's something at stake. That is when you know when you have a real top centre-back. He's had very limited exposure, but to be fair to him, if you watch the Palace FA Cup final, he was excellent, and that was a high intensity situation. If you watch the Euros for England, he was absolutely brilliant. That was also a high intensity moment. So whilst he lacks the Champions League experience, he's shown that he can do it in high intensity games. And then there's also the physical concerns. He's not as physically dominant as Virgil van Dijk or Ibrahima Konaté, because them two are absolute monsters. But he's still quite very good at being good on the floor, being good aerially. He's not elite aerially though, which is what we've become used to at Liverpool. And if you give it some perspective, under Arne Slot, Liverpool definitely rely less on the brute strength and more of the smart positioning, that technical quality, and being able to defend with intelligence. And Guehi definitely excels in those areas. So whilst he might not dominate in the air, he offers calm, clarity and ball security when Liverpool need it most. And the final issue would be the price tag. Liverpool want to pay about 30 to 40 million for him, especially with 1 year left on his contract. And in my point of view, you're getting a homegrown player, someone who's a captain, someone who's been a full England international, and he was arguably Crystal Palace's most important player outside of Eze. So from Liverpool's point of view, that's a huge fee. From Crystal Palace's point of view, that is the exact fee that they want. But let's be honest here, Liverpool have the upper hand. With him only having 1 year left and then maybe moving on a free, Crystal Palace would rather sell him and make some money out of him than keep him for another year, especially with how much PSR issues are becoming massive. So if the deal is able to be done at about 35 to 40 million, Liverpool will definitely do it. It's a smart, long-term investment, and Guehi fits the system good enough that Liverpool would be willing to pay that much money. If it hits about 60 million, I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool walk away and say, you know what, we'll sign you for a free in the next season. Overall, when you look at the deal as a whole, Liverpool sold Quansah for 35 million. They would be replacing him with Marc Guehi for about 40 to 45 million, who is a much better centre-back right now than what Jarrell Quansah was. They aren't signing any random centre-back. They are signing a centre-back who is definitely at Liverpool's level, and to me, this deal is a must. Guehi is technically very sound, he's tactically sharp, and he's so calm at the back, which is exactly what Arne Slot wants. He's not coming in to sit on the bench, he's coming in to fight Konaté for that first team spot, and competition breeds success. And now yes, there are concerns, the price tag being high, him not being as physically dominant, but every centre back in the world has weaknesses somewhere, and when you factor in his age, his stylistic fit, his experience, and the market opportunity, this move makes sense both in the short term and the long term. This isn't just a signing for today, it's a signing for Liverpool's future. It's about building a team that's able to dominate and control games at will, but also have a squad of players that when they come onto the pitch, they keep the level that Liverpool play at the same. And if Guehi keeps improving under Arne Slot's guidance when he does join, don't be surprised if a year or two later, he is definitely a starter for Liverpool and he becomes the undisputed main man of Liverpool's defence. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown, digging into the key questions around the Marc Guehi move, but now it's over to you. What do you think? Is Marc Guehi worth the price tag? Could he ever become a first choice at Liverpool? Or should Liverpool have just kept Quansah instead? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you liked this video, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe for more deep dives like this. Hit the notification bell so you know whenever I upload. Thanks for watching as always. Peace.